Welcome to the first edition of the Old White Man Show. I call it the Old White Man Show because I'm old, I'm white, and I'm a man. So, Old White Man Show. And the purpose of this show is basically to give a opinion of an old white man on different things that affects our society today. Uh, Lots of things you hear on social media, stuff that goes on. Some stuff I can agree with, some stuff I can't agree with. But first of all, let me give you a little history about myself. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the Bywater District. Lived in the Ninth Ward, the Fifth Ward, all over the city, really. Uh, every time the rent came due, it seemed like we moved. I would go to 3 or 4 different schools a year, and never had a chance to really settle down at all. My parents was a product of World War II. My dad joined the Louisiana National Guard back in 1939, and he was in the National Guard when World War II broke out. Spent a few years, he went 3 years to Burma, fighting the Japanese. And whatever he did over there, he had a lifetime effect on him. He never really recovered from what happened. And I reckon there's many, many, many men and women that experienced the horrors of World War II and they never recovered from it. So in our case, uh, we ended up growing in the lower socioeconomic class of society. And it brings up one of my pet peeves I get when I hear about white privilege. You know, uh, I was born white. I don't know what kind of privileges I had. Back in the early days when you didn't have no money, you didn't eat. So everybody worked, so you could eat. I got my first job and I was 5 years old, and I think I've worked every day since then. Dad had a policy: if you didn't work, you didn't get to eat. And I remember a couple of occasions when I was too sick to work, and therefore, if I was too sick to eat, I didn't get no food. You know, uh, it's just the way it was. It's changed a lot of schools. We didn't have free lunches in those days, so and normally when we went to school, we didn't get to eat, unless you had money. I'm going to say the majority of the time we didn't eat in school. You know, just the way it was. They didn't care what color you were. That's just the way you were. Uh, New Orleans was a funny place. It was founded by the French, influenced greatly by the Spanish, purchased by the Americans. And we got a real mixed culture. Lots of blacks, lots of Hispanics or Spanish, lots of French, lots of Sicilians. Uh, I'm part Sicilian, part German, part French, a little bit of Irish, a whole bunch of different European things. I'm like 94% European and 6% West Asia. I reckon I'm a little bit, got a little bit of Muslim in me, I reckon. Born Catholic, got kicked out of Catholic school in kindergarten. I didn't do too good there. I didn't like my jokes I told, I reckon, and got kicked out. I had a speech impediment. I still got a speech impediment, but it used to be real bad. Got it from a brain damage I got when I was 2 years old. I fell out of a high chair and fell out the window, and my mom threw me out the window. I don't know which one is true. But either way it went, I ended up spending about 6 months in the hospital. And it gave me some brain damage where have the ability to say words too good, and I had a loss of balance. So I grew up with that handicap, and it was quite a handicap because, I know back then everybody used to call me a crazy Chinaman, because I couldn't speak. So that's what the kids used to tease you about, because you can't talk, you can't talk. I went through school with that burden, got into a lot of fights because of it. My brothers got into more fights because every time they heard someone laughing at me, they would just go in there and beat them up. That's the way it is. Family stuck together. We had a lot of different people, different races and everything, and we all played together. We never knew we was different until about the 60s, beginning of the 60s, when the government started telling us that we was white and we was black, and started really separating people, making everybody aware of differences. Lyndon Johnson did a lot of things, I think, to give power to his party, and we was all, at that time, Louisiana and everybody in the South was the South itself. It was all Democratic, Southern conservative Democrats. And Johnson came in there and started changing the party quite a bit. Over the decades, I reckon the Democratic South became the Republican South. Same values, just different names. Everybody used to believe that you got a job, you went to work, you fed your family. If a neighbor needed help, you gave them some help if you could. You lived within your means, you didn't have a lot of debt. School was good for you, if you could afford to go. Not everybody could afford to go. I know all my brothers was taken out of school and forced to work. I'm the only one that made it through to 11th grade, before I was taken out of school. That's the way it was, you expected to work and you went to work. Joined the service. All my brothers, they all joined the service. When I was 17, every one of us was in the military. My older brother Vincent, he went in first. He was in the Army, went to South Korea. My brother John was in the Air Force. My brother Matt was in the Marines, and he spent 26 months in Vietnam. And I was in the Army, and I spent 2 tours in Vietnam. One tour with the 101st Airborne, and the second tour with the 23rd Infantry. We did what we had to do, and we came out to service, some of us for the better, some of us for the worse. The military taught me a lot. It gave me the opportunities to seek a higher education. I was able to finish my high school. When I got out to service, I used my GI Bill and went to college. Graduated from college. Me and my wife, we worked real hard, and we both got degrees. We had no student debt. We painted houses and cut firewood and did roofing and cut grass and did anything we could do to make a dollar, but we supported our families and got our education. I would say I never got a scholarship, but I did. I had a real good average in college. I put in for this one academic scholarship every semester, and for every semester I was rejected into my last semester in college. And I put in for it. The only thing I changed was my race. I said I was black, and I got the scholarship, $250. It kind of dawned on me then. I'm saying, wow, it's really weird that, I was denied all those years, and then as soon as I changed my color, I got a scholarship. Didn't seem fair. My wife and I, we've been married for over 50 years, and together we made a good life. We was able to get ahead in business, We got it. We eventually ended up in real estate, and over the years we became quite successful in real estate. With the Century 21 organization, there's a couple of times I was #1 in the world in selling the units. Bought a lot of property in Tarrant County. My name was a couple of thousand different deeds that we bought and sold over the years. You know, did over 900 million in real estate sales and purchases. You know, so made a lot of commission dollars, we made a lot of profit dollars, we did pretty good. But we worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, you know, work to get ahead. And we raised our family, and we made time for our family, and we did the thing that was right. We taught those values to our family, you know. And I'm not the only one that does it. There's many people out there of all races, all ethnic groups that does it. I know a lot of good people all over this world. You know, Christians, non-Christians. You know, I got great Hindu friends, Buddhist friends, Spanish friends, black friends, French friends. I got friends. People I know that says they're friends. You know, but we got the same value. And as I traveled the world, I realized that most people was kind of like us. We all got the same goals. We want a roof over our head. We want to feed our kids. We want to get them educated. We want to do what's right. Most people's good. The problem that we got today is we got a media that's out there trying to change the world to fit their own criteria. We got the best government money can buy. And believe me, most of our government's bought. They're not there representing us no more, they're representing themselves. So we need to do something to get out there. We need to get together, we need to talk, we need to work out the problems that we have. So the essence of my Old White Man channel is basically to talk about problems. You know, I might not have the solutions, but I got an opinion. And just like everybody out there, you all got opinions, so we can try to put our heads together. But we need to make our own decisions. We need to be able to realize that the government works for us. And the media, whether they like it or not, they work for us. Because if we don't watch them, then they don't have a job. You know, we don't listen to what they write, we don't pay attention to what they write, then they don't have a job. There's a movement today to do away with history, but you can't do away with history. History only repeats itself. You know, what happened, happened. And if we forget that it's happened, sometimes it will come back and happen again. You know, so we need to pay attention to what's going on. So in the future broadcast, I'm going to pick subjects. Some of them will be real touchy subjects. Some of them will be subjects that no one wants to talk about. And some of them will be good subjects. I mean, the one thing we can agree on is that the LSU Tigers is the national champions. You know, and every team they face, they beat. Simple as that. You know, so let's agree on that, and let's call this show over for today. And next week we will talk about something else. Thank you.